Hey, check this out. That is the SA-76D Plus by STAM Audio. It's an 1176 style compressor. Hey, what's up my friend, Chris Salim here from Mixdown Online. Very excited to talk to you about this guy, the SA-76D Plus by STAM Audio. So first we're gonna look at the unit itself and why I kind of like it. We're also going to test it on an acoustic guitar, a lead vocal, a bass, and also drums. Now, on top of that, I have a free gift for you. You can download my free guide, The Fundamentals of Compression. It's a free guide where I explain all the fundamental things to understand about compression. All the different types of compressors that we work with, like an 1176, for example. So check it out. I'm going to leave the link down below. Okay, now let's get back to this guy, the SA-76D Plus. Now, this is an exact replica of the URI 1176 Revision D compressor. Now, on my side, to be honest with you, this is the first 1176 type compressor hardware that I work with. I didn't grow up using analog gear. I always worked with plugins. So I am familiar with all sorts of 1176 plugins. So this is the first hardware that I work with, and I have to say that I'm actually impressed. So let's go through the parameters we have on this one, which is what you're going to find on a regular 1176 for the most part, to the exception of two very cool features. What we have here, we have the input, the output, okay, which is self-explanatory. So you add more signal, you're going to get more gain reduction, and you balance that out with the output level. Then we have the attack release and the ratio, okay? So that is basically what an 1176 is going to have as far as parameters goes. Now, on top of that, this one is a bit special. It has two unique things. The first one is something that I actually work with on the Universal Audio 1176 AE. And this one has a slow attack mode. And STAM was actually very kind to add this one on the SA-76D Plus. By just pulling the attack knob out, you're gonna get into slow attack mode, which is written right here below. What this is going to do is that since the 1176 is a very fast compressor, now we're talking about an attack time of microseconds, okay, like 800 microseconds to 20 microseconds to the slowest attack time, which is super fast. Now, by pulling that one to slow, you're going to get the attack time up to 10 milliseconds, okay, which is great on drums. It's going to add a lot of punch. Okay, so this is why the 1176 by Universal Audio, the plugin, the AE plugin, is one of my favorite 1176 plugin that I work with, especially on drums because of that slow attack time that I have here. So we have this one on the STAM version, which is amazing. And we also have something that is like so unique for an 1176. And this is the tube output circuit that we have here. So by pulling the output knob out, now the signal goes through a tube circuit, which is quite nice and very unique. And this is not something that you're going to see on an 1176. So it's the first of its kind. And this is what makes this unit like quite amazing and unique and very versatile at the same time, you know, because you get a lot of tone. You can get like a kind of a cleaner Revision D type tone with this compressor, but also get a bit more noise, light saturation, nice harmonics to the mid-range by pulling this tube knob out, okay, which is going to activate again the tube circuit on the output of the SA-76D Plus. Now, as far as the price goes, if we look at an original URI 1176 Revision D, I actually found one on eBay, $11,000. I'm not even sure if you can see it here, but you know, it's a lot of money. Now for this one, it's more like $1,100, you know, so Huge difference in price. But now, how does it sound like? And this is what we're going to look at right now. So from a raw drum recording, what I did here is I bust out the kick and snare on a mono channel. And I'm actually using the SA-76D Plus on that channel to compress the kick and snare. So to have a quick listen of the whole recording, this is what I get. Okay, I'm going to engage the SA-76D Plus. Let's solo this channel. There you go. A bit of a slower attack. Fast release, you know, to get a bit of sustain out of the kick and snare. There you go. Nice. I like that. Very snappy. Nice sustain. Okay, I'm going to engage the tube circuit. I kind of like that. I'm getting a slightly bigger low end and also a very nice harmonics, you know, on the mid range. Very nice top end also. It's very subtle, but you can actually feel it, you know. So I'm not going to get like extreme saturation, and this is not the purpose of this tube circuit. But it does add a very nice color to the tone, which I kind of like. Okay, so now there's something else I want to show you, and that is the slow attack mode. And this is a very, very nice one, especially for drums, because since the 1176 is a very fast compressor, that option is actually very, very welcome for drums. Okay, so if you want to have like a more punchier drum sound, this is something to look at. So let's have a quick listen. I'm going to engage the slow attack. There you go. Very punchy. So I'm getting way more punchiness, when the slow attack mode is on, which is great. It makes this compressor, this type of compressor, a bit more versatile than a regular classic 1176 that doesn't have that slow attack option. And this is what excites me a lot about this compressor. On top of getting a tube circuit, I'm also getting the slow attack mode that I usually get on the UA version 1176 AE plugin. Okay, which has that slow attack mode. So I was very excited to see that one on the STAM SA-76. So it does work very well, does sound very good. Now I want to try something else, is to activate all 4 ratio buttons and use the that compressor in parallel to the kick and snare. So this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to bring up my dry signal. So I'm going to start by pressing on those 4 buttons at the same time and craft my overcompressed sound. Let's cut out the attack. Yeah, a bit less release time. We'll see how that goes. Okay, now the sound is like overcompressed, and that's the goal. Let me bring that one down and blend it with the snare and kick. Nice. There you go. Love parallel compression on drums, especially the kick and snare. This is something that I do all the time when I mix live drums on a rock song or a pop song. I love to just parallel compress the kick and the snare together. The interaction while having those two instruments, the kick and the snare, compressed at the same time adds a lot of nice vibe to the drums. And of course, it brings the kick and snare way more up front, and that's the goal of parallel compression. All right, so now let's go and listen to the SA-76D Plus on the bass guitar. Okay, so that's the bass guitar without the compressor engaged. Okay, let's put on the SA-76. Very nice tone. Yeah, I really like the sound and vibe of the SA-76. Okay, let's engage the tube circuit. Oh yeah, you can hear the difference, big time. That works very well on bass. Now it doesn't add a lot of saturation, but just enough to add some definition to that bass sound, which is something that I like. Very nice. Love that tube option we have on the SA-76D Plus. And it does work very well on bass. Okay, let's try this one out on an acoustic guitar. Nice. I can actually hear a bit more top end out of this acoustic guitar, you know, when I have the tube circuit engaged. Okay, let's try this one out on a lead vocal. Now, this is a mix that I'm working on at the moment. It's from a band from Ottawa called Rebels Rest. So I thought this vocal would be a good candidate to try the SA-76D Plus on. So let's have a quick listen without the compressor, and then I'm gonna turn on the compressor on that vocal, and we'll see how that goes.
Innocence stands in darkness, truth bears bold witness, death conquered in plain sight, confounds the grave, great delight. Enemies not yet assailed, an act of mercy to prevail, hope fanatic in pursuit, ever-present resolute. Innocence stands in darkness, truth bears bold witness, death conquered in plain sight, confounds the grave, great delight. Enemies not yet assailed, an act of mercy to prevail.
I like that. You know, when we get the tube on, man, we're getting a bit more definition. I can hear those mid-range harmonics, which adds a very nice character to the tone.
Innocence stands in darkness, truth bears bold witness, death conquered in plain sight, confounds the grave, great delight. Enemies not yet assailed.
Okay, I have to say that I love the sound of that compressor on this lead vocal. Even if I'm compressing a lot, it does sound very smooth. does the job pretty well. So as you can tell, that SA-76D Plus sounds pretty good. So very useful when mixing, and also very useful when recording. So if you're the kind of person who likes to record with compression, check this guy out. It's gonna work very well when recording vocals, drums, bass, and so on. So I'm gonna leave the link down below if you wanna know more about the SA-76D Plus by STAM Audio. And also leave me your comments and questions down below. I wanna know if you work with analog gear when mixing or when recording. If so, list me what you work with. Until next time, my friend, take care and see you.